Welcome to Community Spotlight, a production of CMAP TV. Community Spotlight is a series designed to showcase local businesses and organizations and highlight local profiles, people in your community who are doing great things, have done great things, or have great things to share. Welcome. We hope that you enjoy our show. Hey, this is Mike Sanchez, and you're watching Community Spotlight from CMAP TV. We're here in the heart of downtown Gilroy at CMAP Studios, and our first guest for our inaugural show is none other than David Leal. David Leal is an entrepreneur, a businessman, an investor in downtown Gilroy, and he is the owner of Gilroy Bowl. He's also the proud owner of a nice little parking lot on the corner of 4th and Monterey Street. And in general, he's been one of the forces this past year especially to really get downtown Gilroy up to another level. And he's got more plans. He's very active in downtown, and we're gonna sit and talk to him and find out a little bit more about him. So Dave, welcome.
Thank you.
Yeah, so tell me, how was this year? You got a couple things done.
Yeah, so this year's been great. We've opened the bowling alley. It was about almost a 2-year process since the time I purchased it and getting it up to all the plans approved and getting the design. And we've been open about 9 months now, and it's been great to see the families out here on the weekends, and just it's been a really rewarding project that we put together. So really excited for it. Look, we're doing leagues now and company parties, and it's just been really exciting. I just think it's going to get better and better as time goes on. We have the festivals down here, and people have packed the place. It's just really good to see how exciting it is, and the community really welcoming us in here. And so really look forward to the rest of the next couple of years.
Yeah, so speaking about the bowling alley, now the bowling alley had a long history and legacy in downtown Gilroy. Pretty gutsy of you to take on the bowling alley with all eyes looking at you basically, and having the vision to do something to get it to another level. One thing I will say is the bowling alley is at another level. You've basically reclaimed it as one of the epicenters of downtown. It's fun, it's lively, it's vibrant. All your furnishings and your media wall, I mean, it's fantastic. Did it come out the way that you originally envisioned, or did that change a bit as you were building it?
It pretty much came out the way we envisioned it. I really wanted to kind of keep the heritage of the downtown and the Gilroy. So throughout the building, on the walls, we have the big photos of the old Amelia's restaurant, the barber shop. So we got some old school pictures in there, which just really kind of brings back the legacy of it, the history of it. So, and the brickwork on the walls. Obviously, we had to redo the whole kitchen and the bathroom, so it's very much different than what it was, and it's all open now. Kind of keep it, that was kind of my vision, to make sure it was just wide open so everyone could see everyone. We put the big LED wall up just basically for advertising, for it's a really good visual aid, and people are really enjoying that. We watch sports games on there, and birthday parties, and company names, and so forth. So, yeah, no, it was a great. I think with the space that we had, and trying to keep a couple of things. Most people know that it had 10 lanes in the beginning, and now we have to go back to 9 lanes because of the codes and so forth. So,
and that was an ADA thing, right? You needed a ramp to the exit in the back or something?
Yeah, so we needed 2 exits, one in and one out. So then we had the front door and the back door, so people could exit for emergencies. So that was, we had to get rid of our 10th lane. So what we did was we salvaged it, and it's actually used as the bar top. The bar top looking over the lanes,
which is really cool. Yeah.
So that was kind of fun to do that. So I think it really worked the way we wanted it to. We were really happy with the way it came out.
That's impressive to basically have a vision and then keep almost pretty much true to the vision for a project that size, because you touched every single inch of that place.
We did, yeah, from plumbing to electrical, roof, everything. So the hard part was that the history with it, with Grace and her family that ran it, was the food was very special, and so with our restaurateur John Holder, we kind of put something together, and it's not the same thing that it was before, but people are getting used to it. But so it's been fun though. Yeah.
I personally have been there, Deb and I, several times, and I mean, every time we're there, the food is excellent. Salo, your main guy behind the bar there, I'm not promoting it, but he's really good. Chris, your manager, basically your whole managerial staff is great. John's great. Everybody is very customer forward, customer centric, and it's rare these days. It seems, you go other places and it's like you don't always get the customer service that you would hope for, and now we're in the app tip world. So like even though you don't get great service, you might have to tip 22%, and it's just nice because your staff is super attentive. They're always on top of just taking care of people, and the one thing I love most. Not most, but the one thing I love a lot about your place is your windows. So tell me about your front windows and what the whole idea behind that was.
So basically on the front window wise, we kind of wanted to make sure that was in and out kind of experience. So once those windows open, the whole bar changes, the whole venue changes. So nice summer nights, open those windows, and even in the wintertime with the windows open, it's a different feel. So it really opens it up, and people driving down the street kind of see what's going on. We have the TVs on, so it was just the indoor-outdoor kind of experience. So we really, that was a big focus, and it was quite a project to put those in, but it was definitely worth it.
It works out great, and what's fun too is on a busy weekend night or whatever, or some of the festivals you mentioned earlier that we'll talk about. You got people milling around downtown in the street on the sidewalk. You open those windows and they're just like leaning over, like talking to people who are eating and stuff because you're all finding friends and stuff. It's like such a vibe. It's really cool. So congrats on that. We could talk for hours on the bowling alley, and I definitely want to have you back, and maybe we'll talk about some other things as you go forward. Let's talk a little bit about downtown in general. You've put your money where your mouth is. You've really made some investments here. You've made long-term commitments here to downtown. What led you to do that? What was your thinking behind that?
Well, being a resident of Gilroy for a little over 18 years, our kids were raised here for the most part, and now they're off to college and so forth. So I kind of felt like it was time to give back to the community, and we just ended up, coming up with starting with the bowling alley, and then a couple of the little projects we got going on. But it was just kind of fun to try to get this downtown going. Gilroy is a great place to live, and I think we just need the heart to start pumping down here downtown. And there's other businesses that are opening, and it's exciting, and we just really want to kind of get the vibe where people, we're 60,000 people. Let's get these people downtown and really have a good experience from your kids. That's what the bowling alley is great. You could have a 5-year-old there bowling, birthday parties, or you could have a 95-year-old there just enjoying the space with their family. So we just really want to try to get the family orientation going on for people to come out and have a good time. So I think there's a lot more to be done downtown, and we're looking forward to doing some more projects.
Yeah. So you're part of the Downtown Association.
Correct.
2024 Nonprofit of the Year?
Yes.
Just announced recently. Congratulations, by the way. Tell me a little bit about that and the work that you guys do on the Downtown Association.
So I was asked to join when I started investing downtown a couple years ago. So I said, let me go. I went ahead and got on the board, and it's been a great organization. It's been fun. I was new to it, so I didn't really know what to expect. But we've been able to put on these music festivals on Thursday, which everyone loves.
Those are great.
The holiday parade, which we just had, which was fantastic. I think over 12,000 people showed up. Our restaurants, our bars, all really enjoy having all those people in town. And basically, the organization is really just trying to revitalize and really just get our downtown having special events and trying to just make it more of a community, for the community to come down and have a good time.
Kind of a community destination. It's like, hey, we're downtown, we're here. Let's create some fun events. Let's get some people down here. Let's promote downtown businesses. Yeah. Well, you guys, very well deserved. I know you guys work very hard. Thursday nights, I'm a little bit familiar with setting up stage every time and tearing it down. Which, let me compliment you on that too, because before you came to help on the Thursday night series, there was a stage that was all kind of put together like Legos, and it took, I think, a couple hours generally, and with kind of new volunteers coming each week, it was always like relearning it, multiple parts, and then tear down was always fun. And then you came out, and before long there was a trailer that came out, and it just folded open in 3 directions and had its own support system and everything, and it's a tow behind. Setup is 15 minutes or so, close up is once the band and everybody gets off the stage, 10 minutes. It's incredible. I mean, where do you come up with this stuff?
Well, that was from doing the stage with you several times, with our zip guns out there screwing stuff and unscrewing stuff all hours of the night. So it got to the point where like this is just not feasible.
Yeah, something's got to happen.
Something's got to change here. So I decided on basically just building a stage trailer. So now something that took 3 hours at least. Takes us 12 to 15 minutes to set up. You tow it behind your pickup truck, and it's 20 feet long by 16 feet wide, and the sides drop down.
Big enough for the full bands that we get down there.
Full bands, and it's just been, it's literally anyone can do it, and it's basically a 2-man operation in 15 minutes, So that was been a great tool, and there's other things that we could do, I plan on doing also to make it just more efficient downtown for these events, because it takes a lot of labor to get these events, by the time you set up and you break down, as you know.
So that's one thing that I admire about you is you see problems, or let me rephrase that, you experience problems, you look for solutions, and then you act on it and you create the solutions, which helps just efficiencies, effectiveness, man hours. It just helps every step along the way. Is that natural for you? Are you kind of like a problem solver when it comes to like business and other things? Or is it just we were just tired of being in the sun for 3 hours? I mean, is that ingrained in you?
I would say so, because for 18 years or so we had our own business, and it was it was a lot of moving parts, and it's about efficiency, right? Labor and efficiency and manpower, and everything that you do on that aspect, you got to try to minimize it and make it more efficient. So that's kind of where that whole my mindset came from. So as a young kid, I've always been working and then having my own business and trying to make sure that everything was going in the right direction, and mainly efficiency.
Yeah.
So I see that, and I see, like I said, I see other things that we could do also to make it even better.
So let's talk about you solving a problem with downtown parking. Another project that you undertook was you found an available lot to purchase on 4th and Monterey. It was at a time where we were going through the closing of the parking lots and the Gourmet Alley remodel, redesign, which posed some challenges for downtown, people coming downtown to park and such. You saw a solution and take it from there.
So on the corner of the 4th and Monterey, there was a dirt lot there that's been there for years and decades, and people have been parking in there and kind of using it for whatever. So I had the opportunity to purchase the property, and my thing is typically anywhere I go, if I cannot park, I usually do not stay. So, with the bowling alley investment and other businesses downtown opening, we want to make sure that people coming from out of town or in town have a place to park, so they can stay and enjoy our downtown.
Absolutely.
And so, anyhow, so we purchased the property, started working with the architect, and was able to design a 58-stall parking lot. And I was fortunate enough to have some really, really good contractors on my side, and we were able to pretty much build it in about 29 days. And that was at the same time that the Gourmet Alley was going on, and there was both the parking lots behind off of Igoberry were closed, so it really minimized the parking for guests or people coming downtown. So it was really important, and the city worked with us. We got it built, and like I said, it was like 29 days, got the parking lot paved, striped, lighting. We use solar lighting and everything. So anyhow, it's been great. I mean, nowadays it's full. Every weekend it's full.
Every time I go by, it's full.
So it's been a great thing for people, and people constantly tell me how much they thank me for me turning it into a parking lot, and so it's been a great thing, And like I said, this weekends it's busy, and it's been really nice to see that down there.
Yeah, direct impact. I mean, absolutely direct impact, and 29 days. It's incredible.
Because I had the A team on my side.
Yeah. That was awesome. So, what else do you have? You've kind of alluded to some other ideas that you have for downtown. What do you think going forward? What's 2025 look like?
Well, we have the Savvy's building. don't know if you want to talk. You know, so we have the
Yes, absolutely.
the little the old Purcell's building. I was able to purchase, and it's a really cute building. Obviously, it's
Old
super
Purcell's music.
music.
Yeah, it was there for decades.
Yeah, I was in the same family for over 100 years in the same family. So that was a fun project to purchase and building to buy, and I was able to work with Savannah, and she turned it into the vintage ice cream parlor. So
Which is super popular.
super cute. She did a great job, and you know we're looking forward to her, you know, expanding and having really a fun time with that site. So that'll be fun. And you also have the building where the Garlic City Cafe is, and you know, hopefully Psycho Donuts will be moving to that at some point. You know, they signed a lease, and they're working on drawings and so forth. So hopefully they'll be in there. And so I think for 2025, you know, I'd like to see those businesses open and flourishing. You know, and you know, if something else comes along, I would, you know, love to be able to jump on something new.
You're ready to go. Ready to pull the trigger.
It'd be fun. It'd be another fun project. So we'll see.
Yeah. Interesting. So what does it take to look at a town, be it Gilroy downtown, where you live, where you're a community member, or any other town, and just go, I think I want to really invest some money and time and make things better? Like, where does that come from? Just, is it a source of pride? Is it a source of things could be better? Where's it come from?
I think it's a little of both. I think it's, you know, definitely things can be better. You know, we see towns around us, or, you know, even an hour away from us, that are small kind of communities. And, you know, Gilroy's still a small town, and it's very family oriented. And so I think it's a perfect opportunity to make your downtown just the heart, and really just get that, you know, get that heart pumping. And so I think it just kind of, a lot of, you know, take pride in your community, take pride in your downtown. A lot of beautiful buildings down here that just really need some attention.
Some love.
And some love. And, you know, it's very expensive to do this, so that's one
love
of
is
our...
art.
Yeah.
Love is art.
No kidding. So it gets to the point where it gets very expensive, so that's where we see a kind of a lag in it, you know. So. But I think overall, you know, just really make it a fun place to come. We enjoy it. We really come down here a lot. We like the music. We like the people that are opening these new restaurants, and we see there's a lot of potential. Some other people from out of the area looking to come into town, and, you know, hopefully they'll have the opportunity to open shop. And I see it just getting better and better, you know, as we move forward.
Yeah. Personally, 2025, what does that look like to you? Family goals, you know, families growing, kids in college. What does 2025 look like to you, David Leal, personally?
So I think 2025, I'll probably kind of just focus on my family. My oldest son is graduating from college from Boise State next year, and our youngest one's a freshman over at Ole Miss. So we're going to be traveling and seeing the younger one more often, and the older one, we're going to try to figure out what he's going to do after graduating, so whether he stays in Boise or comes back to town, back to Gilroy. So we're going to kind of focus on that, and, you know, make sure that the bowling alley and all these other little projects are kind of up and going. And like I said, I'd like to be able to do another project down here. I got to find the location and find, you know. So
Well, I know you got your eyes out there, and your,
yes.
you know, your fingers out there.
Yeah.
So if I come up with anything, I will send it your way for sure.
Perfect.
But I appreciate you so much, Dave.
Thank you.
Thank you for spending time with us.
Thank you.
We're going to have you back on future episodes just to keep up with what you're doing and all the progress you're making. I think you're definitely one of the drivers of resurrecting downtown Gilroy. You are definitely a force. You're a joy to work with, alongside, and you're a joy just to, I see you every morning walking up and down downtown, you know, 3 blocks south, 3 blocks north, doing a circle, saying hi to everybody. You're like an unofficial mayor of downtown, and I really appreciate you for everything that you're doing for downtown.
Thank you.
So I look forward to seeing you again.
Yeah.
And happy holidays to you.
Thank you.
All right. Take care. My next guest is David Cox from St. Joseph's Family Center. St. Joseph's is just one of the Gilroy legacy organizations that has been serving our community as well as a few neighboring communities for decades. David has been at the helm of St. Joseph's for decades, and we'll get into that a little bit. But Dave, welcome.
Thank you so much, Mike. Pleasure to be here as always.
Yeah.
And happy holidays.
Happy holidays. So tell me, speaking of holidays, you guys had a pretty busy Thanksgiving. Tell me a little bit about the run up to that, some of the challenges and opportunities that you faced, and how you were able to just get through the holiday rush.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, I've always felt that our agency is based on the back of our community, whether that's people making financial contributions or rolling up their sleeves and helping us out with this very labor-intensive work. But we've always been aligned with our mission, and our mission is very centered on food security, access to food, diminishing hunger, increasing nutrition, and of course, shelter opportunities and housing. So we stayed very aligned with that. For the holidays, there's always kind of an uptick, but it's really not much different than what we're seeing on a daily basis. And ever since the pandemic, and we kind of, I think a lot of us thought things would be returning to some normalcy, for us, the service need has continued to go up. It is not decreasing, it's actually increasing. And so we're having a challenge, of course, like a lot of nonprofits, like a lot of community-based organizations, meeting that ongoing need. So it's kind of this perfect storm, Mike, where we have diminished resources and an increase in demand. So it is doubly hard to sustain, and deliver on the needs that the community has.
Let's talk a little bit about the uptick from the pandemic and going forward. You're right. There's a lot of indicators in our area, but in the general economy that just, we would have all expected things to be a little bit better by now, and it doesn't seem like we've been able to get out of the blocks again and just get things moving. And that has a direct impact on families, especially families on the edge, financially, or maybe just different work conditions. Maybe I have 2 part-time jobs, no full-time job, things like that. So those families on the edge, that one little thing, the economy slowing down a bit or changing, has a direct impact on thousands and thousands of families that you serve just in this community.
That's correct.
So beyond Gilroy, you guys also work with, tell me where else you work. Is it Morgan Hill and North, or?
We're very South County centric. Okay. So we always consider this, I always kind of joke that we never go past the garlic curtain. But really, I would say the vast majority of our services are for South County. Okay. We do try to follow and support what we call a no wrong door system. So if somebody is, let's say, working in Gilroy but lives in Sunnyvale, we certainly want to provide them services if we can, because it's a lot easier. Sure. And we want to make sure access is there. Right. But Gilroy, Morgan Hill, San Martin, those are the communities where we've thrived and where we've been kind of a lighthouse agency for over 50 years.
50 years, okay. And speaking of decades, how long have you been at the helm?
So too long, I think most people would say, even I'm saying at this point in time. But going on my 24th year. 24 years. Yeah. So and I think that some of the community knows, we actually are in the process of finding a replacement. I've announced my plans to retire, which I'm excited about. A couple times, right, yes. Yeah. But I think we're going to do it right, and I'll actually segue a little bit. One of the duties we have as a business, we're a business, even though it's a nonprofit business, right, is we have to do whatever is necessary to make ourselves sound, whether that be sound programmatically, sound with our position and place in the community, or financially. Mm-hmm. So one of the things that we looked at, and it kind of dotted all those things I just mentioned, is we really looked at, how can we strengthen our programs? How can we create greater impact in our community? How can we solidify our footprint in South County? And also importantly is kind of stretch those very hard dollars that are to come by. So one of the things that my agency has taken under is we have been actually under an exploration and in a movement to join forces with the South County Compassion Center. And we feel that is a sound thing in our focus groups and talking with our community members and supporters. Everyone is really behind this decision. It just makes a lot of sense. So again, as a business, we're very proud that we're taking the steps necessary to continue to, again, hopefully create that impact in our community, solidify, like I said, our footprint in South County, but also stretch those very hard dollars that are, a challenge to come by.
Yeah. Going back to, pre-pandemic, pandemic, post-pandemic, what have you seen dollar-wise? I mean, just in general, I know donations are hard to come by anyway. What did going through 2020 through 2024 look like for you guys?
So, like most people, we pivoted, we adapted, and there was quite a bit of support, and we saw that everywhere, right? The interesting thing is that support, while it sustained for a while during the height of the pandemic, I would say from 2020 to 2023, again, we weren't expecting, and I don't think funders were expecting, that there would be this, kind of surge in need that, we again felt would slow back down, But colloquially, like I said, we're serving 300% more than we were pre-pandemic times, and those numbers are not decreasing. And again, there's lots of things, instability of work, there is systemic racism and other things that affect people of color and those impacted most by poverty. I think part of it, Mike, and I think there's been a lot of attention around the housing crisis, and that just kind of, I said it earlier, kind of sucks all the oxygen out of the room. And so I'm glad that our communities are paying a lot of attention to this, because one of the things that is an incredible burden are families that are what we call rent burden. So they're spending, 40, 50, 60% of their income simply on rent, and those rents keep going up, right? So they're always on that precipice. But we thought, if you look at, the combination of inflation, some systemic issues, decrease in funding, higher increased need, it's this perfect storm where, like I said, our services are up. I wish we were for-profit, because I would love to brag that, we're up 300%. But sadly, like I said, during the pandemic,
it doesn't translate.
It doesn't translate, right? But during the pandemic, we saw that tick, right? But I don't know if there's enough conversation, especially with some of the basic safety net services that we provide, where we're finding that ongoing source to meet that need. As I said, food is one of our priorities. We find food security to be a cornerstone for health, preventive health measures. And it's just, we're not finding people who are funding food programs. Years and years ago, food was a topic and it was a high priority in many communities' consolidated plans. It's simply not in the conversation anymore. Yet it is, at least for us, showing the highest level of need. And if we talk to some of our partners like Second Harvest of Silicon Valley and some other agencies, they are also feeling that impact, especially along the lines of food and access to nutritious food.
And as you said, it's now the big push is affordable housing in general, and that comes all the way, for our state anyway, it comes all the way from Sacramento with mandates on what communities and counties are supposed to be doing to provide housing. So all the effort, focus, and resources have been shifted to a large part.
To a large part. And again, we don't want to lose that. But in the same time, we don't want to lose, the conversation about the needs for, like I said, other basic safety net services like food, but mental health and some other very important needs our community has.
Yeah. So you somehow pulled together, I would call it a successful Thanksgiving holiday food basket program.
Yes.
What does Christmas look like for you?
Well, even our Thanksgiving program, we were anticipating serving around 2,000 poverty-impacted households, and we did about 2,500. So, for Christmas, we were kind of thinking around 1,500. Now we're actually thinking we're going to be up close to 2,000. So the community has responded wonderfully and remarkably, as they always have. But again, kind of one of the things I'm looking at is we are going to get through the holiday season with this great support. There's kind of a lift of attention
kind
and
of the holiday,
an awareness, the holiday
awareness,
the holiday awareness thing, right? But call me on January 15th or February 1st, right? And that need is still going to be there.
Right.
and it's going to continue to go up. And then that holiday cheer and that kind of awareness, that community awareness that we have this time of year, will have faded.
Yeah.
So I think one of our duties is to try to keep, without being, overbearing, is to keep this in the consciousness of our community.
Right.
But I think, Mike, and I don't want to get too political, but some of our services really do need to be supported by government resources. And we've had cuts with city funding, county funding, federal funding. And it shouldn't fall on the backs of our community uniquely to support the needs of our neighbors. Right. So while we absolutely thrive and need that support, and always will, I think, to really have fluid services and a continuity that we need, it's the responsibility of the government to accept some of this, especially if you're looking at what we, again, feel is a cornerstone to health. So we're trying to raise that collective voice. We're doing it with our partners. We're talking to city officials. We're talking to county officials. And we're kind of sort of moving the needle a little bit, but it used to be a lot easier to move that needle years ago as opposed to now. And what surprises me is there is a recognition that the need is through the roof.
Yeah, you don't have to search far to understand that the need for just food, nutrition is there. It's a bit of a mystery how, reallocating the funds at the government level is really the issue, but it's kind of a mystery to me at how, those who make those decisions somehow just go, well, let's just put it over here. Yeah. It's like, it's such a holistic approach that needs to be taken to like the whole family, the whole community, the whole individual, and that's what sometimes seems to be lacking at the decision level.
I'd love to see, a confluence or a coordination of a recognition that, whether you're looking at a housing issue or you're looking at food insecurity or other issues, it really does take the entire community to make an impact and a lasting impact. And again, it's all for me related to health, right? Your health is challenged if you're not securely housed, or you're homeless or unhoused, living in the streets or in your car. If you have food insecurity, that's going to lead to a plethora of health issues, especially for children. So these are things that we need to continue to talk and, like I said, kind of raise that awareness, not just at the community level, but that voice needs to carry over to our local governments. They need to hear this. And Mike, I'll just say something. Food banks were created, 50 years ago to kind of address what used to be considered an acute need. We need a couple days of food to get us through our last paycheck. We're going to get paid at the first of the month and everything's going to be fine. And food banks operated that way for a very long time. But in our community, where again it is extremely hard to thrive and survive, that has become a chronic need. Families coming to us intensify their services. So in other words, we used to have families that would come once a month or twice a month, kind of a minimal amount of times. Over 90% of the families who come to us for food assistance maximize the number of times they come because it's become a chronic need, right? It not only is meeting some of the nutritional elements that family has, but one of the first things sacrificed in a family's budget is food. And medicine for seniors, right? Those are the things that are sacrificed, which, of course, those are the things you don't want sacrificed. But this chronic need is not only, like I said, helping families meet some of their nutritional needs, but it leverages their household income. So if a family's coming 4 times a month to us to receive food assistance, and let's say that food assistance is $75 worth of food or more, that's money the family can save and put towards rent, utilities.
$300 they can
reallocate to other areas. I think the conversation needs to really focus on how the need for food has gone from being an acute need to being more of a chronic need. And that's where we have to change, I think, the mentality or the perspective that not just our governments might have, but our community as a whole.
So it's just an outdated model, and what's needed is a kind of a paradigm shift, right? To the new reality.
To the new reality.
Yeah. Wow. Okay, so you've been there 24 years. How have you grown, changed, developed as a person and as a leader and as a community champion in that time?
That's a very good question. I think for the most part, it's opened my eyes. I'm still a firm believer in community development, but also I realize, and I think it's become very apparent where we live, that there are some challenges that I'm not saying are insurmountable, but again, it's just kind of shifting that lens. It's kind of shifting, how we are messaging some of the needs, But mostly I think probably the thing I'm going to miss the most when I do hang up my hat is the spirit of community. I see it over and over again. And the generosity and the giving spirit and the compassion that our community, especially here in Gilroy and in South County, have. These are communities that really do want, I think, what's best for our community, and I think sometimes we just need to help direct and channel that. But I think I'll miss that the most. There's a lot of things I'm going to miss, but it's changed my lens. I think it's made me a little bit more wanting to do more system changes, wanting to do more advocacy, right? Yeah. So not just being focused on the transactional aspect of what we do or what other agencies do, but again, kind of looking at how can we make this better for the next generations, right? Yeah. We just don't want to stay on these treadmills, for an eternity. So I think that's been part of my growth, personal growth, maybe a little professional.
Interesting. So talk to me a little bit about your staff and the incredible volunteers that you have, because I think most people, or some people who are on the outside, would look at what you do in that operation and almost think that that's all staff. But the reality of it is very different, right? So talk about that a little bit.
Sure. As I mentioned earlier, we've been very reliant on community participation, especially people who will roll up their sleeves and help us out volunteer-wise. The pandemic threw a little bit of a curve to us because we couldn't engage our community like we wanted. But on a typical year, and we're getting back up there, but it's not quite there yet, we would have about 20,000 hours of volunteer time donated on an annual basis, which is the equivalent of about 9 or 10 full-time staff members. So again, what we're doing is we're leveraging the community's efforts and participation to put more resources directly into the hands of those that we're serving. But the other reality is, as our programs have grown, the need has grown, funding has become scarce, we've actually had to increase our staff significantly because we need the reliability and the consistency to make sure that we have those services available. Yeah. So again, it's somewhat transactional, but it's a necessity. Yeah. But I don't know what we would do without that community participation. And it certainly shows itself during the holidays, whether it's an individual showing up with a bag of groceries and donating it, or it's a local retailer saying, you know what, we're going to give you the best price we can, and you can buy a whole bunch of turkeys with the money that the community has given you. So it really is the glue that kind of holds us together. Yeah. So not just from a staffing perspective, or even a service delivery perspective, but financially, it kind of glues all
it fills all the holes. Yeah,
it fills all the holes. Yeah.
What is it like? This is maybe a weird question, but I'm curious. What is it like? Because I look at you and I talk with you, and we talk from time to time, which I'm very grateful for. I feel like you're one of those people who are just running all the time. Do you feel that, or is that just a perception I have from looking in from the outside?
Yeah. Well, I think one of the reasons I've decided to step down is,
because of that running.
Well, I've been running, 24 years with this agency, and prior I worked for 10 years for another nonprofit. So, I think what I'm learning, and this is what I'm hoping will become part of our organizational culture, is while my leadership has been kind of a servant leader, which is maybe why you see this,
and you embody that so beautifully. But go ahead.
But part of that, it's not a great model of leadership, to be honest.
Hard to sustain.
It's hard to sustain, and it doesn't set a good culture. Yeah. So one of the things that we're really working on as we're looking at this joining of forces, this merger that we're looking at, is the importance of making sure our staff and our volunteers are well cared for, and that we find time for self-care. Yeah. Because we can't provide and be there for the community and its needs if we're not taking care of ourselves. So that's going to be a big focus. And that's something, unfortunately, I didn't really put a lot of time and attention to previously. But no, I think, like I said, I feel it's a duty. I consider myself a servant leader. I think it resonates with some people, but it's very old school.
Yeah.
And I think, I'm really excited about new leadership for this agency because we have a strong foundation. We have 50 years of experience. We have great diverse support. We have volunteers in the community backing us almost unconditionally. So I think the next chapter, I just see great promise, and I'm very excited about that. But, after 24 years, the agency does need new direction, new ideas, and new vision. Yeah.
It speaks a lot to your character to say and believe what you just said. A lot of times it's not quite a founderitis thing, but it's like you're gonna pry my cold dead fingers off to get me out of here, and you are at a position where you're just like, nope, this place can go bigger and better when I'm gone.
When I step out of the way.
Yeah. That's pretty amazing. So one thing I want to thank you for is, as long as I've known you, which has been several years,
Long time.
you've always inspired me because of your servant leadership. I tend to lead that way as well, and I'm trying to improve and worry about the self-care. But you absolutely embody that, and you are just a role model for what caring means and for what connecting to communities, connecting to those who are underserved, just giving it your all. One story I'm going to put back in your face is one of my favorite, one of my favorite, and this is weird to say it this way, but one of my favorite scenes in my memory of you is going up to Day on the Ridge, and I think it was last year, not 24, might have been 23. And it's a warm day, Memorial Day weekend, and Memorial Day, actually, isn't it? And so anyway, we get up there, we get shuttled in, and we're VIP and blah, blah, blah. And you are the head of the organization that entire event is meant for. The first thing we do is we come up on the hill, we get out of the van, we walk down, and there's a whole line of bathrooms there. Now, there's some VIP bathrooms and then some other bathrooms. You have a bucket in your hand, towels in your hand, you've got sunscreen all over your face, and you're working your tail off cleaning bathrooms.
Yep.
That I will never forget because, and again, we talk about how healthy that is as a servant leader, but that to me is the epitome of leadership. You are humble, you are a servant leader, and you are a role model by just your existence and your example. So I am super grateful that we're friends, that I can call you friend. I look up to you very much, and I respect everything that you do for the community, for your organization. And I hope when the transition comes, you're still close enough around that we can chit chat every now and then.
Absolutely.
And just stay in contact, because you're one of those people, I think, that has not only made Gilroy great, I think you will continue to make Gilroy and the South County great just by your presence and everything that you bring.
Thank you.
So I'm super grateful for you.
Appreciate it.
Tell us real quick how to help, how to contact St. Joseph's, how to donate, how to maybe volunteer. And again, Christmas, yes, but after Christmas, January, February, even maybe more importantly.
Yeah.
So please look into, give me a camera, let him look into yours, and speak right into it.
You can go to our website, stjosephsgilroy.org, and you can certainly make a donation, and you can also sign up. We have a volunteer application, takes about 30 seconds to fill out. That gets sent to our team. Our team will disseminate that, and we'll try to find a spot and an opportunity to engage the individual or the family or whoever is interested in volunteering. But yeah, I would definitely just want to reiterate that, the services that we provide and the need that's out there are kind of chronic needs. So there's a heightened awareness during the holidays, but our needs are almost as great as they are in January or February as they are right now.
Yeah.
So that's the message I've been trying to kind of state and show. And I really appreciate what you said about servant leadership, Mike. But my mother and father taught me, whatever you do 100%, and every job is, find pride in it. So I feel it sets a good example, and I thank you for recognizing that. And I think that's why we're kindred spirits, because I know you're the same way. So.
Yeah, probably so. I
but
might
yeah.
need counseling.
Yes. Well, we can talk.
We could talk,
Yeah,
for sure. We could talk. All right. Well, hey, thank you. I appreciate you.
Always a pleasure.
Yes, and absolutely happy holidays. Nothing but the best for you guys.
Appreciate it.
Okay.
Thank you so much, guys.
Talk
Happy
soon.
holidays.
In our next segment, we went out on location to the Neon Exchange in Gilroy and spoke with Toni Bowles, the owner, entrepreneur, basically, and builder of the beautiful Neon Exchange in downtown Gilroy. Our crew members, Santi Prado and Daniel Renteria, went out there and shot some amazing video of Toni just sharing her story, her journey, her vision, and a few other things. It's a really great interview, really great segment. We hope you enjoy.
My name is Toni Bowles, and my business is the Neon Exchange. The Neon Exchange is a multi-use building that was converted. It's 102 years old. The top floor used to be hotel rooms. Now they're private office space. The primary floor, which is the first floor, is now event space and co-working space. I was in a place where I was doing the same old, working a government job, and I needed something a little more meaningful and purposeful. So I took my retirement money, bought an old building, refabbed it, renovated it over 2 years. It sounds simple, but it wasn't, and opened it up to my ideal event space and workspace, which is a mixed-use space that dedicates the entire building to inspiration and collaboration and all things that come with community and a sense of pride. It used to be a hotel built in 1921. The hotel on the top floor had hotel rooms and bathrooms. The first floor was a restaurant, and on the other side of a wall would be what would be the bar, and that was the adult area. The opposing side of the building had a barber shop, I believe, and other mixed-use retail. And there was a check-in desk on the first floor, and it was very actively used. This particular street right here, before freeways came through, was the main thoroughfare for the city of Gilroy, leading all the way to San Jose. And so it was very active. There were a lot of people who stopped in, who ate, who used the hotel to spend the night, stopped at the bar, so it was a very actively used space. My mission was to create a sense of belonging and community. I did not want to make it exclusive. I wanted to make it, on the contrary, inclusive. Inclusive in the sense that all walks of life, all socioeconomic backgrounds, all cultural identities, regardless of your age, that you felt like it was a place of inspiration and belonging. So in order for me to do that, I had to live that. And that was a very difficult thing for me to find and investigate. But I went on a year-long journey of figuring out what that looked like. And it came to fruition naturally as I got here and as I made friends with business owners and Rotarians, chamber members, my parish, schools, friends in the community, and just paying attention to what they were asking for and the things that they needed, which coincided with the things that I needed in my own life at the time. So that was pretty much it. So I'm a kid that grew up in the 90s, and I love neon colors. So at first it was quite literal. Now it is more meaningful in the sense that neon or neo is of Greek origin, which means new and bright and vivid, and exchange is the giving and receiving of things. So in my eyes, this building is a new, bright way of giving and receiving inspiration and support and all the things that you're craving. My inspiration comes from walking the halls and looking at the curvature and the architecture of the building, trying to accentuate it, trying to bring out areas that need more attention. I used a lot of color and texture, art, wallpaper, metal finishes, lighting, different fabrics. And so it was important for me to take 102 years old worth of history and preserve it. And so you'll see throughout the building, you'll see stained panels and corbels and beams that have been here for 102 years. But you're also gonna see new installations of lighting fixtures and wallpapers, and that's an intent. The intent behind that was to marry the old with the new. And so I figured if we can pay respect and homage to the antiquity of the building, but we could also integrate things that our youth and a more youthful generation would appreciate, that maybe people would come and visit and appreciate both the old and the new together. So it was a very conscious effort in trying to find ways to make it Instagrammable, but yet pay respect to the antiquity of 102 years old. The local artists that we've been able to showcase are all my friends that I've made over time through the Gilroy Arts Roundtable, through collaborative projects. During Purple Tier of the pandemic, a local artist, Whitney Pintello, and I came together to host a healing mural on the back of my building. Over 7 days and 40 women and children that participated, we were able to create a 900 square foot mural of amateur artists as well as professional artists coming to paint. And for some of them, it was the very first time that they had an opportunity to socialize together coming out of the pandemic. So things like that, I'm very much attuned to. How can we create ways for other people to get experience and to get their hands on projects, whether you're new or whether you're a familiar artist. That's just one particular way that I've been able to work with one local artist. I've been able to work with other artists on graphic design and digital projects. Other ways have come through with purchasing art from local artists. There are several artists in my Neon library that are local artists that I've been able to patronize and to showcase and shed light on. And so it's really important for me that I fill these walls with as many local artists as possible. It feels very heartwarming to have had over 300 people show up throughout the day. I feel a sense of gratitude that I'm still standing, that I survived, that I not only survived, but that I thrived through the pandemic. It was a wild ride, and one of these days I'm going to put it down into a 300-page book, start to finish, because it was crazy, and at times I thought it was the end of the road, and just when I thought it was the end of the road, someone else would call and say, "Hey Toni, we need this, or can you help us with this?" And I kept saying yes. And the more that I kept saying yes, and the more that I was community-centric, and provided services that were essential at the time or that were needed by the community, not necessarily for revenue generating purposes, but just because it was the right thing to do. It helped me with my mental health in terms of really focusing my attention through a really tough time. And it also allowed me to create some really deep, meaningful relationships. So coming out of COVID, there was a lot of support afterwards for all the things that I did that were through COVID and post-COVID. Well, as you can see behind me, it's Christmas. So during the pandemic, the YMCA of South County, Mount Madonna YMCA, asked if I could do a COVID-safe toy drive with them, and I did. And it was very successful through the pandemic. So now, for 3 years, we've been able to grow this House of Toys toy drive, which is the Gilroy City Toy Drive. It serves all families, regardless of socioeconomic background, that just need a little bit of assistance for the holidays. We've been able to serve about 500 families and provide almost 3,000 toys. Hopefully we'll break that. that goal this year, but that's just one of the examples of the ways that I've been able to forge relationships for the greater good of the community. Also, Pit Stop Outreach started in my kitchen, serving the homeless during the pandemic, and they've grown up to have their own space and have several volunteers now. Other relationships are with the Gilroy Foundation, Gavilan, some of the local schools this week. Actually, Gilroy Prep is hosting their winter formal here. So we've been able to make relationships with not only private for-profit business, but also our local schools, our hospitals, our nonprofits, trying to create space for everyone to make special moments for each of them. So a short-term goal was to finish my back patio, which I finally did. So we'll have some really cool outdoor space coming up soon in the spring. A big lofty goal for me is to finish my book and to print that in about 2 years. So I'm hoping to tell the story of why someone like me would cash in everything she had to buy an old building and fix it up just so she could find a purpose and a meaning in her life. I hope to finish that. I hope one day it'll be made into a movie, which is a pretty lofty goal. But other than that, I think that book is going to trigger a speaking engagement where I'll be speaking on the issues that were presented in the book and how to overcome those issues and obstacles. So for now, personal goals would be to finish the book, to help my 2 brilliant kids finish high school and get into college, and just keep investing in our local community, because I think Gilroy has a lot to offer, a lot of untapped potential. And if we just kind of lean into those very artistic-led untapped potentials, I think we're going to see a whole new Gilroy in about 3 or 5 years. My name is Toni Wolves, and my business is the Neon Exchange.
Thank you for watching this episode of Community Spotlight. We thank you for your support, and we invite you to tune in again. See you soon.